I'm a libertarian. What I'm getting is,
did you vote for Joe Jorgensen or Trump?
Who?
Joe Jorgensen. That was the perfect answer. Thank you.
Welcome, Christmas edition of the Libertarian Podcast Review. This is episode 29. Maybe I'll hit 30 before, not my age. I'm much more ancient than that. Maybe I'll hit 30 episodes before the year is over. Welcome, everybody. My name is Tyler Yonke. Have a little coffee. It's Christmas Eve. I've decided to come into the office only because I need to give my law partner his Christmas gift, and he said he's going to come and work today. So I came in and put it on his desk. I'm in here a little bit early. It's 8 a.m. What time is it actually? 8:30 Pacific time. I'm going to be in. I'm going to be out. I've got stuff to do at home. I hope you are not working today. I hope you get a chance to have a little bit of a fun Christmas as well. Hanukkah, Festivus, I don't know, whatever the heck you celebrate. I just hope you have a good time. And so what is this going to be? This is going to be a short episode. I just thought I'd come in here real quick, give you a little bit of maybe I'll walk through my podcasts and what I am typically listening to. I'm trying to branch out, though. Obviously, I want to do more reviews. I'm thinking two people I need to kind of have on the show, CD and Shannon. Maybe you come in and we'll talk about all the podcasts you listen to, because you guys, every time I'm on some show, I look in there in the chat. You two are already in there in the chat. So this is probably something that you should be coming in here and talking to me about. Maybe I should have actually just asked you to come in this morning, but it's Christmas Eve, so I don't want to do that to you. So our Shannon, I know, is celebrating Christmas Eve. So let's just kind of go back in the year in review and what my show, at least what I've done. I started out here almost 10 months ago. It looks like. I'm just looking at my Odyssey page. I'm gonna pull this up here real quick. My Odyssey page, and you can see the shows I've done here. My first episode was Libertarian Reacts to Rothbard, and I kind of just talked about my personal experience of coming over to the Libertarian, the anarcho ANCAP style, and kind of my understanding of things that drew me through. I think that's always a good spot there for you to start if you're kind of looking for my personal beliefs on that. Then what did I also did? Liberty Lockdown. Liberty Lockdown was my second episode. I talked about him. I reviewed Clint. Clint liked it. He came on the show. Keith Knight. I talked about trading, margin trading, GameStop short sale, and all that stuff. If you don't know, I have quite an extensive background in day trading and working with market makers and basically a go-between for arbitration between a stockbroker company and the market makers. So I did a lot of that stuff. So I had a little bit of inside knowledge. I used the word hypothecate a lot. Okay. Talked about Dave Smith, unregistered. Clint came on. Pete Quinones came on. Talked about fear and risk in a pandemic. That's Murray Rothbard's book. One of his, I'm not sure which book it was, actually. It's on the thumbnail. Went through a bunch of them. And so Josh had me on his show. Tire Gang, they had me on his show. Rebel with a Cause, have had him on. Had Patrick McFarlane, did Nick's Ashley's show, which is kind of defunct now. Reed Coverdale came on the show as well. Jose has been on. Great conversation with Jose. Dickie Walnuts, we talked to him as well. And I did Not a Podcast. I did Slurp Gang, and I've gotten all kinds of crap from that. Now, there's a little bit of fallout from there's Twitter drama going on. Okay, some people, some dear friends of mine on Twitter are having debates and antagonistic issues with some other friends-ish of mine. So I did not get in the middle of that because there was some out of context clips. Speaking of which, I had done a clip of Josie, redheaded libertarian. When I did Josh's show, I had a small clip on there, and I posted it up a few weeks ago online because she had a comment about minarchism and anarchism, okay, ANCAPs and minarchists. And I had two different clips of her where she was contradictory about the government, okay? So I put that up. She blew up at me. Her fans blew up at me. They got all their panties in a wad, both male and female. And one of her accusations to me was she said I was very much like CNN taking clips out of context. What was interesting though, is she then proceeded in her, online barrage with me to argue defense of each one of those, only using that portion. She didn't use out of context. I mean, and the whole time I'm like, look at the entire show. I clipped the entire show to go to look at, with Clint, even though I had reviewed it for, Josh's show. The point is that those clips in there, in little bit 2-3 minutes that I had of that whole thing, and some of it was me mocking her in a sense, smugness. It was definitely smug. But in her arguments back to me, she didn't need to do anything other than she defended her clip on both of those, and it didn't need more context. It wasn't that. With that in mind, we're now having other people out there. There's a Jose clip. There's a clip with Dave Smith, and I do think those are being taken out of context, because you can listen to the full thing and you're like, oh, that's a little bit different. And hers wasn't, by the way, even controversial. It's just her take on minimalism, which is still 99.999% better than conservatism, Democrats, liberalism, everything. So I'm still fine with it. I just thought I had a little hypocrisy she had in there, and I was pointing it out. Unlike what's being taken on with Jose, and now Jose steps in it himself many times. Dave does as well. They're pretty controversial in a sense. So there's some shit. So people have taken some things out of context. This got blown up. Then there's other all kinds of crazy stuff going on between people, and one of them posts something. I don't jump in there until a certain someone from not a podcast literally loses his shit about this. People, and I'm like, the only time I'm jumping in is because people are so you're actually taking everything serious. I didn't know if El Popo was being serious or joking, but he came in on the timeline. He was all upset. And so I played his own game back at him. I'm like, just like he does with a journalist, and to show his balls on the timeline. And he ends up doing a massacre block of everybody, including me. That's fine. Then he went off to Clint about using Wigger. So I guess identity is now only for some people. Jokes are only for some people. And, for someone that took the joking on the timeline so to outrageous extremes that this is what was going to push you over the edge, I only laugh and I say, good riddance. But he's still one of my favorites. And if you go to my episode, Spilling a Mud Jug on Your Rothbard Shirt, it's my review of Not a Podcast. My biggest fear of doing that, even in the clip, it says, "What the fuck have I done?" Which was because I was worried, just even reviewing their show, I was going to get nuked from all of them. I didn't. Now I almost have by them and Slurpgate, which is fine. That's their prerogative to do so. But the point I'm kind of getting at here is still one of my favorite funny guys. But, just like Josie, if you're going to put yourself out there and then you're going to be all concerned about, maybe a joke coming back on you. Okay. Block me. I get it, but don't cry on, don't cry on the timeline that somehow people stole your Wigger theme. Dude, by all means, you're anonymous. You've got a little, you don't show your face. I didn't know. You could be a black guy. You could be a Mexican dude. You could be a bougie white guy like myself. I don't know. All the best. Okay. So whatever else I thought I would look at is some of the podcasts I do look at and I watch, or I listen to on a weekly basis. And what I need to do is get together a group of podcasts. And look, by the way, my point about some of this and talking about this is not just so I can rant and cry about people blocking, because I don't really care about that. It's simply about context and taking clips, and I show a lot of clips. Okay. So when I show these clips, I'm not trying to do them out of context. I'm always encouraging you to watch. As a matter of fact, I try to take clips that are somewhat open-ended so that you can go and listen to the entire show and get the whole breadth of everything. Okay. But let's not go doxing people. Let's not go whining on the timeline. Let's make it, it's for me, it's for joking on Twitter, and to do that. There's some serious stuff. You can definitely learn things there as well. But man, some people go so hard in the paint, and then when it comes back at them, they just, I don't know if the skin is thin or what. But hey, once again, when Josie, I was making some things there and her people coming at me about my looks. I'm like, you think I'm concerned? I'm 50 years old. I'm married to I got a hot wife. I don't care what you think about my looks. I'm perfectly fine with it. And by the way, some of the ugliest people are the ones bashing other people about their looks. I don't understand. Hey, your weight, or you sleep in your mom's basement, and I'm like, comb your beard. All right, let's shave your own goatee first. All right. Some of the Oh, and I'm back. Sorry, sorry about that. I pushed the wrong button. So we're still going live here. So I meant to do a screen share and I pushed leave studio. So I thought one of the things I would look at here is kind of some of the podcasts I look at and do. And I'm not going to necessarily share the screen, but what I kind of want to do is do more of a compilation and sit and do a category, which I do in my podcast when I review an actual show just on its own, kind of give you the idea is. But I did have a friend that said, hey, what are some great podcasts to listen to? And depending on who those people are, you kind of need to say, you don't necessarily, and I've said this, you don't necessarily, throw a Slurp Gang, not a podcast, or Tower Gang at someone that's, kind of straight laced and just wants to learn about libertarian stuff, right? And by the way, they're not all of those are in that world, but they're somewhat liberty adjacent. So I throw that in there. I say the word libertarian podcast review, and it's really just kind of like to give you an idea that we're not necessarily conservative, we're not necessarily Democrat, we're kind of in that other sphere. Okay, so I'm just gonna, and so I need to have some of these podcasts that we could just kind of throw at people and say, hey, here's a good group for you. Maybe these are the entry level, maybe these are the left wing ones, and some of the blue pilled types of podcasts are necessary. I know we wrangle and we argue about a lot of this time, and we really push against some of the blue pilled stuff. But I always say it's necessary because that's how I got here. I never would have found some of the more extreme. I mean, wouldn't have found Pete's show as an example if it wasn't for Reason getting me to the Fifth Column, getting me to Malice, getting me to Dave, Tom Woods. This is the path actually I took. Jason Stapleton. That got me to Pete. Okay. Now, Jason and Pete are good friends, are kind of somewhat allies, but they were not. There was a whole show of both of them ripping the crap out of each other. So now, they're more, they'll rip on you. Okay. So I'm just going to go through here my podcast list, and I'm actually will share the screen. Some of these you're not going to like, but some of them I don't actually listen to. I take it and I'll kind of, I listen to, I use Overcast, by the way. That's my podcast stream choice. I don't even know if you can see this well enough. Let's see if we can actually increase this. All right, that helps a little bit. So Anarchy Among Friends, and by the way, this is the web version is much worse than the actual app version. I actually pay $9 a year to get the premium service for this one because I really love the way I can do everything, especially when I'm out riding my bike. I just have a lot of touch stuff with my AirPods and my headphones that I could use. Anarchy Among Friends. So this is in alphabetical order. Anarchy Among Friends. Jason Booth's show. I always check this one out. It's usually, as you can see here, 2 hours plus. It's a group of people. They talk about the news. They bash on stuff on the government, and it's pretty interesting little show. And I tend to use this one. I don't know. I'm not sure exactly when it comes out. Usually on Friday, I think, or maybe it's on the weekend. And then by the time I listen to it, it's probably the next weekend. And I usually am listening to it like when I'm doing yard work and stuff in my garage and working around the house on a Sunday. It's a good 2-hour slog. I do everything about 1.5 speed, by the way. Anarchy Among Friends is definitely anarchy. So Mises Wire, this is Mises Institute puts out some stuff and some little audio clips here of stuff. It's decent. Anything that you're getting from Mises is going to be solid. Now, you're probably seeing this. You're like, Ben Shapiro. Why is Ben Shapiro here? Well, Ben's here for a few reasons. I don't always listen to this, but every once in a while, there's a good episode. There's one came out a few weeks ago, as a matter of fact, when the COVID mandate stuff came through, and Ben did a great breakdown, a lot of legal stuff I enjoy. He did a great breakdown of the OSHA mandate and that his company was going to take that on as an example. And then you can learn a few different items there, which is that break down the Massachusetts v. Jacobson, I think, vaccine mandate issue from way back when. So he's got a good legal mind. I like some of the stuff he has. I don't like some of the other things. I pick and choose. I end up deleting a lot of the episodes, but I just keep them on there. Biting the bullet, they're definitely a good two. Luke and Typo, I featured them on the last one there. Bob Murphy show. He's what does he say? A Christian and a communist. I think that's it's hard to, I read it on 1.5 once again. So I think he says a Christian and an economist, but it sounds like he says a Christian and a communist. So you got there. Couch Streams. I have Josh's show. I get his premium stuff. So I get separate stuff there. Still do Brian Nichols. Don't always listen to him, but he's got a few good episodes coming in there. Counterflow with Buck Johnson. Buck is kind of taking over the GOP Mises type of thing. I still have cycling podcasts that I listen to if you're in here. Decentralized, that's kind of the Mises caucus. I haven't been following up on that one as much, so I've just been deleting episodes. But Patrick Newman's been making the rounds lately. He's been in a lot of shows. And The Empire, that's with Pete and Scott Horton. Fact check this with Justin Campbell. Good stuff. Fifth column there. Still listen to them every once in a while. That used to be one of my favorites. And they really kind of went out of fashion with me. I'm not sure exactly when, because I was a patron of them as well. Kind of deleted that, and I still listen to them. I never listen to Molyneux, but it keeps coming up here. I haven't deleted it for some reason. Pete Quinones, I am on his Patreon, so I get his Patreon stuff early. Glenn Beck, I've still listened to Glenn Beck. Not always a fan of what he has to say, but sometimes there's some stuff. And I do enjoy usually his podcast at the end of the week where he just has an interview. Human Action, that's good things there. I think that's with McMakin, and I thought Bishop was part of that as well. Oh, wait, Take Human Action. This is Deist, Jeff Deist. I love his podcast. I need to catch up with that a little bit more. Got Keith Knight. Don't tread on anyone. Keith is a solid mainstay. I did a review of his. Check that out. Kibbe on Liberty. Still listen to that. Stefan Kinsella. Stefan's podcast isn't him on doing a podcast. It's him on other podcasts where he then is the guest and he rips it off, steals their intellectual property as he should, and posts it out his own. By the way, Stefan is a subscriber to this podcast on YouTube. Maybe my biggest celebrity podcast subscription. I don't know. Legion of Skanks, can't miss them. I still have Lex in here because he's got some good things every once in a while, but man, I just haven't listened to him for a while. I came out against the for like the mask mandates, and I just kind of was like putrid on that. I have my own show, as you should. Clint, we haven't had a podcast since December 10th, I think. So step on a little bit. Liberty Weekly with Patrick McFarlane. He was on the show. Lions of Liberty. We reviewed their show as well. And then here's what's great about the Mises Institute. They have put out a bunch of different books that are on podcast form. And the Market for Liberty, I think this is them as well. So that's one I've been listening to. Mises Institute. This might be with Tho this is some more books. The Democracy of God That Failed. So we're doing some Hoppe. No Way, Jose. Hang on a second here. No Way, Jose. Jose Galazon coming up. Now, look, I do some of his stuff on Patreon too, so and YouTube. So just because you see a bunch of these doesn't mean that that haven't been listening to it, Jose. Dave Smith, never miss an upload there. Political Orphanage with Andrew Heaton. It's definitely more of a blue pill side, but a rather Snuffy's Christmas. I'm gonna have to listen to this one. I usually just delete his stuff and haven't listened to it, but he does some good parody info and some shows there. And Snuffy's is a restaurant that's horses, waiters on horses. He does. And I know some people take it seriously, but that's actually pretty good stuff. The Propaganda Report, that's a good one. I enjoy that one usually when I'm out for a bike ride, so 40 minutes or so. The Quash with Legal Man, he's been doing a Spooner rendition, pretty good. Now let's get into some blue pilled stuff here. The interview with Nick Gillespie. Nick can go all different ways, and so I love his interview style. He does a good job. He pushes back. One of my favorite interviews of Scott Horton actually was with Nick Gillespie. I can't say it. Nick Gillespie, because he stopped Scott. He Scott can just drone on. And by the way, that's great info, but sometimes you need to be, nope, stop. Let's explain that because I don't always know everything. And so I thought Nick did a great job of doing his typical thing, just like interrupting him. Nope, let's explain that. Let's go back up. I'm going to interject my own thing. And so the flow was better. And I know a lot of the guys, and maybe it's that you're too good of friends with Scott, Tom Woods, all these guys have him come on and they just let him go on and on and on, which once again, it's great info. But sometimes I need you to interject and to have him explain some things because I'm a little dumb. So I felt that was a good one. The Reason Roundtable, I haven't been keeping up with that, but I do enjoy this because they'll hit some news of the day and then they'll infuriate me with Pete Suderman's ridiculous conversation, his talk. I do like Matt Welch, but you got Nick in there, and I'm trying to remember the young lady that's also on there as well. Rebel with the Cause, Eric. Look at that Tyler Yonke review. So I'm one of the podcasts there. Run Your Mouth with Robbie Bernstein. He's Robbie the Fire. He's great. Scott Horton show, one of my favorites. Slurp Gang. I need to catch up. As you can see, I've got a few episodes here behind. Soho Forum, abolish intellectual property rights, which was a Stefan Kinsella and against libertarian, quote unquote, himself. Trying to remember his name. Let's see if it actually says here.
Products.
It doesn't give you I'm trying to remember his name. He interesting guy because he wrote an article about AIDS. He wrote an article about COVID when it first came out. He thought there would only be 500 deaths from it. Then he said 5,000, and then he got just shredded in the news media for it. And I haven't heard anything. Richard Epstein, just came to my mind. Timcast. Sometimes there's good stuff on there. Sometimes there's not. Timeline Earth. Always a solid, usually once again, a Sunday episode for me. Tom Woods, can't go without him. Tower Gang, My Neck, My Back with Tyler Yonke. Yes, I was on there. Check that out. October 27th. I didn't actually listen to that one. Ignore my cycling stuff. With the benefit of hindsight, with John Ziegler was an amazing podcast that you should actually check out. It talks about the issues all there with Sandusky. There's a bunch of other podcasts here that some of them haven't been keeping up with anything. Ari Shafir is down here somewhere. There he is. Michael Malice, the Agora with Sal Merriweather. That his name? What's his name? Mayweather. Sorry. The Bonfire. Chris Spangle's show. I haven't been keeping up with some of these horrible shows. More cycling stuff here. Freeman, old stuff. Human Action. All right. It's a lot of that's a lot of talking. And sorry about my Jen the Libertarian. That's another one. Wow. And I'm not gonna be able to clip this. So apologies for the voice problems here. Sometimes you're just talking and you get something in your throat and you just can't. I'm getting all choked up about it. You gotta cry over it. All right. That's pretty much all I was gonna do today. Just walk through my podcasts and see what we have. So I do have some things set up. I have some other people, but look, for the most part, it's I got a job and you gotta run. This is why I'm doing this at work today. Sometimes I've been doing it at the office. Sometimes I do it at home. I got kids at home, got the wife out there. Christmas time and everyone's there doing something. So just thought to put together this ragtag show today. And for that, we would, then go on. So maybe you can reach out to me and give me your podcasts. I do need, like I said, I need someone to come on and we can talk about some of these podcasts and give them and ranking and group them in categories of like, hey, you're a beginner into the podcast world or Liberty world. What are some great podcasts you can get yourself into? Now, some of these, by the way, these were only the ones on the audio. I have not a podcast that I do on and Rogan, as an example, on Spotify, a few other ones on Spotify. Some of them are just YouTube's things only. The System is Down, as an example. Dave versus Goliath, maybe those were only ones on YouTube. Or Odyssey as an example. So, just because I didn't necessarily listen, it's a lot of podcasts. You can't always get to them. So that's always my problem, is because I want to keep up on the ones I really enjoy, but now I need to review something. So I need to spend my time trying to listen to that and to review it. A lot of times I'm out just riding my bike and I'm listening to a podcast. That's great. But now how do I pull clips? I can't pull clips when I'm out, exercising or doing something. And so timestamp those. So I then have to re-listen to it. I almost need an assistant. Maybe I'll get my paralegal on this. We could start working on some of that. Either way, that's my show for today. I hope you have a good Christmas. Hope you have a good New Year. I'll try to get something in next week. I do want to talk to someone. There's a duo I've got set. They said yes. They're going to come on. We're going to talk sports. But one of them, Cole, busy with his wife, family, work, I don't know, other podcasts. So we're having some scheduling problems. Other one is Top Lobster. He's agreed as well. And I'm pretty excited about that. Top, I think, has done a lot of baseball. So, and I think Cole did as well. I have had some experience with sports myself. So I thought it would be a fun thing to do. Anyway, episode 29. Love everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We're going to have a good year. We're going to have a good Christmas. Have a great Christmas or Hanukkah or whatever you celebrate. See ya. Bye.
Yeah, I just started live streaming. Cut me some slack. I'm pretty high tech for a boomer. But anyways,
Boomer.